Although ChatGPT doesn't generate visual content, that doesn't mean it can't be used for product or UI/UX designers. This tool is literally for everyone. And as someone who has been doing design for the last 3 or 4 years as more of a side gig, I've been exploring multiple ways to see how I can make the most use out of ChatGPT to optimize workflows and simply increase productivity across the board. And so, along my research, here are just some of the ways that I found, along with some other product designers' commentaries on leveraging ChatGPT to work smarter, faster, and better. But before I go into it, make sure to subscribe to this channel so I can continue to help you navigate this digital ocean with AI trends, tools, tips, and tricks like these. Number 1, generate copy text. The most obvious one is, of course, generating copy. Not all designers are great at writing copy, especially UX-centric copy that is persuasive and easily readable. With ChatGPT, this gives non-wordy designers the power of a copywriter right at their fingertips, so there's no more need for lorem ipsum fillers in your prototypes when presenting. And even if you know how to write good copy, ChatGPT can still speed up the process and serve as an inspirational starting point to that creative process. Fortunately for me, prior to picking up product design skills, I was working as a content and copywriter. Now, the second part is research. ChatGPT is also a great user research tool. In fact, there's probably one of the best uses for it in my personal opinion. Of course, there's still some gaps you need to fill in through personal research, but in general, you shouldn't depend on the results as is anyway, since ChatGPT still does have its flaws. But overall, research is a fundamental aspect to building great products and designs. So, in this case of using ChatGPT for research, you can make it do some role-play research from the viewpoint of different user types. What this means is you can simulate conversations as if it was a potential type of user. This gives you, the designer, the ability to gather feedback from people that the large language model constructed. So one example could be, how would a betting app user like to be alerted of a winning bet? As you can see from the example and results here, you can kind of spit out what it would be like. One reason this is extremely useful is because when you want to test out new features or designs, you can kind of identify potential issues or ways or perspectives that people are looking at things. You can also get ChatGPT to generate the right questions you want to ask it when you're about to do your UX research process. Or you can even just make it create a UX research brief from scratch. The third thing on the list is finding inspiration. Just as content writers use ChatGPT as a way to get inspiration from their prompts, you can do the same as a designer by getting it to look at other platforms. So what I mean is, let's say you're tasked with creating a specific feature into the product. While you go on Google or Dribbble to get some inspiration, you can also try to see ChatGPT can provide a list of platforms that do a great job at what you're looking to create. So like in the example here, you can prompt ChatGPT with something like, list platforms that have a text-based AMA feature. In a way, you're almost using it like a search engine, and some might wonder like, what's the difference between this and Google? But with Google, you're sort of doing a search discovery, right? But with ChatGPT, you're sort of getting this aggregated list sent to you instead of having to dig everything for yourself. But it's not just about feature inspirations. You can also get inspired for what kind of color palette to give as a design, or based on the audience you provided, what kind of interface look might be great to have. Which is number 4 on the list, which is getting information of resources. In addition to inspiration, you can also get information about useful tools and resources that might be handy as a designer. So for example, let's say you aren't so sure about the tools out there for user testing and want to improve this efficiency in this process. You can simply type in a prompt similar to this example here, and almost like serving as your personal assistant, getting this sort of information can be extremely handy when getting the right resources for you as a designer. Then next on this list would probably be to create user flows. Now going back to getting inspired, once again, maybe you're a designer that has to design a specific feature, but that feature is relatively foreign to you. So maybe you have a tendency to forget specific given steps. So this is where ChatGPT can come in handy to go through every single step of the user flow for a given feature. So one example could be like typing in what is a AMA feature on Quora, As you can see, it can then give you a flow of setting up an AMA, flow similar to what's on Quora. It can also help you understand user requirement. So every feature has some basic user requirement to be covered. Every design and development team should always aim to achieve some given requirement they must complete to ensure that feature product is truly considered complete. So using ChatGPT, you can plug in information about your target audience, and with that context, you can ask a prompt on what user requirements exist for a given feature to that user type. So for example, what feature do users expect from a chat-based AMA feature? Then you can see the results here, and you can use this as a foundational checklist when designing a product. This can make sure that you're not leaving any gaps within your product build. ChatGPT can also help you improve prompts for visual generation AI, such as Midjourney. So there are plenty of platforms that leverage prompts to ensure that they're generating some sort of visual medium like Midjourney, Leonardo.ai, Stable Diffusion, DALL-E. This is where you can use ChatGPT to generate prompts for those other platforms. Make sure you tell it what you're trying to do and get it as much detail as possible. And then once you've created a prompt from ChatGPT for that other generative AI platform, you just plug it straight in. And then next on the list would be design system documentation. So in general, as a designer, creating a fully fleshed out, thorough documentation can be overwhelming. There's a lot to think about and consider, and you might forget minute details. But with ChatGPT, you can create a rough draft or even outline of what should be included in your design system doc. And even if you are a more experienced or skilled designer, using ChatGPT for design system documentation is a much faster way to get things rolling from the get-go, instead of manually creating from scratch. But especially for product, you can use ChatGPT to outline, structure, and even write your case studies as long as there is a context of a project. If you use ChatGPT to help you with all areas of a given project, from user requirements, feature flows, briefing, and more, then by the end, it will already have all the information it needs to create a case study. So in the end, as you can see from start to finish, any designer can make the most use out of ChatGPT by leveraging its speed, its generation capabilities, kind of fill in the gaps. What might have otherwise taken double the time to complete by yourself, you can do in significantly less time. I hope you do find this video helpful, whether you're a beginner designer or intermediate or advanced designer, or just somebody that's just interested in getting started with design. If you've liked videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel, where I give you guys some useful tips, tricks, tools, and trends on AI on navigating this digital ocean.